Ever wondered how a country smaller than many US states could pack in volcanoes, vanishing islands, frozen rivers, and even a border that became a wildlife sanctuary? Welcome to South Korea, where geography doesn't just exist, it performs. From molten rocks to backward rivers, these 25 wild facts will completely change how you see the peninsula forever. Part 25. The DMZ, the forbidden border turned wildlife paradise. Ever heard of a place that's both one of the most dangerous borders on Earth and a wildlife paradise at the same time? Welcome to the DMZ, the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. It's a 250-kilometer or 155-mile strip where humans are banned, but nature? It's thriving like never before. Since the Korean War, people have been kept out for over 70 years, and that silence turned it into a massive accidental nature reserve, home to red-crowned cranes, Asiatic black bears, and even rare big cats. A war zone turned sanctuary. That's wild, literally. Up next, from a land that forbids humans to an island that literally parts the sea. Part 24. An island that splits the sea. Imagine an island where the sea literally parts in two and reveals a hidden road. No trick, no magic, just nature showing off. Welcome to Jeju Island in South Korea, home to one of the Earth's strangest tidal miracles. A few times each year, during extreme low tides, the sea recedes and reveals a 2.8-kilometer or 1.7-mile-long path that connects Jeju to its smaller neighbor, Modo Island. Locals call it the Jeju Miracle Sea Road, and it's not just a tourist event, it's a natural tidal phenomenon. Thousands of people walk across the sea each year, waving colorful flags and celebrating as if Moses himself made the call. But if you think that's wild, wait until you meet an island that's practically alive, with lava still shaping it from within. Part 23. Jeju Island, Korea's volcanic playground. Step onto Jeju Island and you're walking across a fire frozen in time. This isn't just South Korea's favorite getaway. It's a full-scale volcano turned paradise. Underneath, miles of ancient lava tubes, like Manjangul, one of the world's longest lava tubes, twist through the island and create underground chambers and eerie rock formations. Can you believe it? And above ground, Hallasan, Korea's tallest mountain and rare continental shield volcano, dominates the island. Its crater lake, Baekdu, constantly reshapes with rainfall, showing nature's constant transformation. Jeju also boasts hundreds of parasitic cones, smaller volcanoes that pepper the landscape, including Yeongnuni Orum, a grass-covered cone with sweeping ridge trails. Every step feels like walking through millions of years of geological history, from molten lava flows to wind-shaped ridgelines. Isn't that insane? Jeju isn't just an island, it's a living volcano museum. From fiery grounds to frozen peaks, our next stop straddles not just climates, but countries. Part 22. The city that's rising from the sea. In Songdo International Business District, engineers didn't just build a city, they created one out of the ocean. Located near Incheon, Songdo was constructed entirely on reclaimed land that used to be tidal flats along the Yellow Sea. What's mind-blowing is how futuristic it feels. Underground waste systems that collect trash automatically, roads lined with sensors to manage energy use, and canals modeled after Venice. Even the air circulation is designed to keep the city cooler and cleaner. Every skyscraper here stands on ground that didn't exist a few decades ago. Proof that South Korea doesn't wait for the future, it builds it. And while nature erases islands to the south, here, just a few hundred kilometers north, South Korea decided to do the exact opposite, build an entire city on top of the sea. Part 21. The Maze of Vanishing Islands. Imagine an entire cluster of tiny islands that appear and disappear depending on the tides. Off South Cholla, hundreds of small islands pop up during low tide and then vanish completely once the high tide rolls in. This ever-changing seascape lies in the Yellow Sea, where locals call it the Maze of Vanishing Islands, a shifting seascape that changes every few hours. Fishermen know these waters by heart, But for outsiders, it's easy to get lost. Even satellite images sometimes struggle to capture their true number. And if you think disappearing islands are confusing, try living in a country where the weather can't make up its mind. Part 20. Korea's climate whiplash. Can you imagine a place where the weather feels like a roller coaster? Once known for 4 crisp seasons, South Korea is now experiencing a shift towards subtropical conditions, with hotter summers, milder winters, and a rising threat of extreme weather. During the monsoon season, rainfall can become downright terrifying. Some regions record over 140 millimeters or 5.5 inches of rain in just 1 hour, turning streets into rivers and testing the limits of urban drainage systems. This rapid shift in climate affects everything, from agriculture, water management, and even daily life. From sweltering summer heat to sudden monsoon downpours, Korea's climate shows how quickly the environment can change. Speaking of things shifting under your feet, sometimes it's not the sky changing, it's the ground. Part 19. Seoul is sinking. It sounds like something out of a disaster movie, but it's true. Parts of Seoul are slowly sinking. Satellite scans have revealed localized subsidence across the capital, often linked to soft soils, groundwater use, and heavy development. Over the past few decades, Seoul's rapid growth has pushed skyscrapers, highways, and apartment complexes into areas with soft soil. As construction and heavy water use continue, the ground compacts, causing buildings and roads to sink. Some neighborhoods are now carefully monitored to prevent structural damage, while engineers scramble to reinforce foundations and stabilize the land. If the ground above can't be trusted, why not build beneath it? Korea took that idea literally. Part 18. Seoul's hidden highway beneath the city. Beneath Seoul's bustling streets in the Gangnam district lies the Goyeong-yeongjae Underground Expressway, the world's deepest underground highway, buried more than 200 feet below the surface. This isn't just a tunnel. It's a marvel of modern engineering built to ease traffic congestion in one of the world's busiest capitals. Opened in recent years, the highway snakes under mountains and densely packed urban zones, allowing thousands of vehicles to bypass the city's surface chaos every day. I mean, isn't that crazy? Imagine driving while literally surrounded by layers of rock, concrete, and earth, knowing that you're on the deepest road of its kind anywhere on the planet. Only in Seoul could rush hour traffic disappear underground and still keep the city moving. Now, while Seoul is mastering tunnels, the rest of Korea is busy stretching its edges, way beyond what you'd expect. Part 17. Korea's endless coastline. For a country of its size, South Korea's coastline is enormous. On paper, it's about 2,400 kilometers or 1,500 miles long. But when you include more than 3,000 islands, that number explodes to over 14,000 kilometers or 8,700 miles of twisting, turning shore. That means, relative to its land area, Korea's coast is denser than India's. From bustling ports in Busan to fishing villages tucked away on tiny islands, the sea isn't just scenery, it's central to life in Korea. A country that's small on the map but huge on the coastline. That's pretty crazy, right? And that endless coastline, it's not just scenic, it's powerful enough to generate electricity. Part 16. The ocean that powers a nation. Did you know the ocean can literally light up cities? In South Korea, it does, because of the world's largest tidal power plant at Siwa Lake. This engineering marvel harnesses the natural rise and fall of the tides to produce clean, renewable energy for thousands of homes. Completed in 2011, the plant uses a series of dams and turbines to capture tidal movements, converting them into electricity with remarkable efficiency. Unlike solar or wind, tidal energy is predictable, making it a reliable source for the grid. The Siwa plant isn't just massive. It's a symbol of the commitment to innovative, sustainable energy solutions. But while the ocean gives energy, it also takes it back, starting with some of the most famous beaches. Part 15. The disappearing beaches. Imagine a country celebrated for its beaches that's also watching them disappear one by one. That's actually happening in South Korea. Coastal erosion, rising sea levels, and rapid urban development are slowly eating away at the nation's sandy shores. Places like Haeundae Beach in Busan and smaller coastal towns have seen significant sand loss over the past few decades. Efforts to fight back include artificial sand replenishment and building seawalls, but nature is a relentless force. What was once a perfect coastline for summer vacations, festivals, and fishing is now shrinking, threatening local communities and tourism alike. South Korea's beaches may be shrinking, but not every island is losing ground. Some were never flat to begin with. Part 14. Ulleungdo, the island with no flat ground. Welcome to Ulleungdo, a volcanic gem in the East Sea. Every inch of this island is steep, green, and dramatic, rising sharply from the ocean with cliffs, hills, and dense forests. I mean, can you believe it? There's literally no flat land for farming or large settlements, making life here uniquely challenging and incredibly scenic. Ulleungdo's volcanic origins give it fertile soil and stunning landscapes, attracting hikers, nature lovers, and photographers from around the world. The island feels like a natural fortress, surrounded by turquoise waters and rarely visited by mass tourism, preserving its pristine beauty. An island where every step is uphill. Doesn't that sound insane? Nature really went all out here, creating a volcanic paradise with zero flat land. But speaking of extreme conditions, let's cool things down. And I mean literally. Part 13. Frozen rivers you can walk across. Imagine stepping onto a river and realizing it's solid beneath your feet. In parts of South Korea, especially when temperatures plunge below -15 degrees Celsius or 5 degrees Fahrenheit during harsh winters, rivers freeze solid, creating temporary ice pathways that locals sometimes use to cross. These frozen rivers aren't just for fun. Historically, they allowed people to travel and transport goods when boats or bridges just weren't available. Even today, festivals like Hachun's Ice Fishing Festival take place right on top of the river, where locals drill holes in the ice to catch fish below. In South Korea, winter transforms landscapes in ways that feel almost magical, blending nature's power with everyday life. And yet, beneath all that frozen water, something much older is waiting deep underground. Part 12. Volcanoes are dormant, not dead. South Korea has volcanoes. And while most are dormant, none are completely extinct. That means these mountains could technically erupt again, even if it might not happen for thousands of years. The most famous is Hallasan on Jeju Island, a massive shield volcano that dominates the island's landscape. Its last eruption was over 500 years ago, yet scientists still monitor it closely for signs of activity. Similarly, smaller volcanoes on the mainland remain dormant, but are part of the country's volcanic history, shaping terrain, soil fertility, and even local culture. I mean, that's insane. This is a reminder that the ground beneath Korea still remembers fire. And speaking of what that fire created, it built the very spine of the nation itself. Part 11. The Spine of Korea, Baekdu Range. Did you know that South Korea has a mountain range that's often called the country's backbone? The Baekdu Range stretches over 1,400 kilometers or 870 miles, running from Mount Baekdu in the north all the way down to Jirisan in the south. This isn't just scenery, it's the geographical and cultural spine of Korea, shaping rivers, weather, and even traditional settlement patterns. Hiking along the Baekdu is a journey through history and nature. The peaks are rugged, the forests are dense, and many areas are considered sacred in Korean culture. This continuous chain of mountains has been a natural barrier, influencing everything from climate to regional isolation and biodiversity. But even where the mountain backbone rules the land, not all of it belongs to us. Some parts of Korea are off limits. Part 10. Korea's Hidden Greenbelt. Ever wondered if there are places on Earth that humans just can't touch? In South Korea, there's a hidden greenbelt, areas of land strictly protected where construction is banned. These zones cover mountains, forests, and watersheds, keeping nature intact amid one of the most densely populated countries in the world. The purpose? To prevent overdevelopment, preserve biodiversity, and protect water resources. Cities like Seoul and Busan might feel crowded, but thanks to these green belts, wildlife has safe havens, forests remain lush, and the environment stays balanced. It's a remarkable example of urban planning working with nature instead of against it. Isn't that insane? Even amid rapid urban growth, South Korea has preserved spaces where people simply aren't allowed to build. Yet nature doesn't just sit still. Sometimes it likes to pull a few tricks, like making a river flow the wrong way. Part 9. The river that flows backward twice a day. There's a river in South Korea that literally flows backward twice a day. Sounds insane, right? Along South Korea's southwestern coast near Muon, powerful tides from the Yellow Sea surge so far inland that the Songdo tidal stream reverses direction during high tide. Locals have watched this phenomenon for generations, and it's not just a curiosity. It affects fishing, farming, and navigation in the region. Only here does the tide literally make a river march to its own beat. And if rivers can rebel, imagine what islands can do, especially one that plays hide and seek with the fog. Part 8. The Phantom Island that vanishes in fog. Off South Korea's coast lies a mysterious spot known as Dokkaebi Island, nicknamed the Phantom Island. On some days, thick fog rolls in from the sea, completely hiding the island from view, making it seem as if it's vanished into thin air. Fishermen and locals have passed down stories for generations. Some swear they've seen the island appear only to vanish minutes later. It's not magic though. It's a mix of fog, tides, and the island's low elevation that creates this eerie optical illusion. Disappearing islands are pretty wild, but how about a desert that isn't made of sand, but salt? Part 7. The Desert of Salt. A desert by the sea sounds impossible, but in South Korea, it's real. Welcome to Shinangun County, where the coastline turns white under the sun. Unlike sandy deserts, this one's made of salt flats, stretching wide and flat along the southwestern coast. Isn't that insane? These plains are created naturally as tidal water evaporates, leaving behind brilliant white salt crystals that sparkle under the sun. Locals harvest salt here, a tradition that goes back centuries, and during low tide, the flats create a stunning mirror effect, reflecting the sky so perfectly it feels like walking on clouds. And while the surface gleams white, below ground lies a secret world where rivers run in darkness. Part 6. The Underground River of Hwasongwell Cave. Deep in Gangwon Province lies a world few ever see. Hwasongwell Cave, one of Asia's largest underground caverns, and home to a river that flows beneath the mountains. Inside this massive limestone cave flows one of the world's longest underground rivers, twisting through stalactites, stalagmites, and rock formations that look like something out of a fantasy movie. The river has carved its way through the cave for thousands of years, creating subterranean chambers, waterfalls, and crystal-clear pools. Visitors can explore parts of it on guided tours, but the full length remains largely untouched. Isn't that insane? It's nature's secret highway, hidden beneath mountains, showing just how powerful and patient water can be. But while rivers hide in the dark here, just off the coast, thousands of hidden islands are waiting above the waterline. Part 5. South Korea's 3,000 islands. South Korea may be small on the map, but it hides a staggering 3,000 islands scattered along its coasts. And here's the wild part, most of them are completely uninhabited. These islands vary wildly in size and terrain, from tiny rocky outcrops to larger volcanic islands like Jeju and Songdo. Many are used for fishing or agriculture, but thousands remain wild and pristine, home to rare birds, plants, and marine life. Some islands appear only at low tide, while others are permanently isolated, creating natural sanctuaries that humans can barely access. South Korea's coastline isn't just scenic, it's a vast network of hidden worlds waiting to be explored. And speaking of hidden worlds, one city turned solid lava into a home address. Part 4. A city built from lava. It sounds like science fiction. A city built on solid rock left behind by ancient eruptions. That's Jeju City on Jeju Island, South Korea's volcanic gem. The island itself was formed by volcanic eruptions, and much of the city and surrounding areas sit on solidified lava fields. Walking through Jeju City, you'll see streets, buildings, and even parks resting on ancient basalt rock, the cooled remains of massive lava flows. The volcanic soil is fertile, which is why Jeju is famous for tangerine orchards and lush greenery, despite the rocky foundation. Can you believe people have turned hardened lava into the base for homes, schools, and entire communities? A city standing strong on what was once molten rock. That sounds pretty crazy. On Jeju Island, nature's fiery past is literally beneath every street and building. But before we move forward, let's take a step back to a time when Korea wasn't just wild, it was roaring. Part 3. When tigers ruled the peninsula. It's hard to imagine now, but not long ago, tigers ruled the Korean peninsula. The Korean tiger, also known as the Amur tiger, was once the apex predator of mountains, forests, and valleys here. Historically, these tigers were revered in Korean culture, appearing in folktales, art, and symbolism as guardians of the land. But due to hunting, deforestation, and urban expansion, they gradually disappeared from South Korea by the mid-20th century. Today, only a few survive in parts of North Korea and neighboring Russia, making them a rare and endangered species. A land once echoing with roars is now silent. And if you think tigers are old legends, the next one's even older, by a few 100 million years. Part 2. Ancient rocks older than dinosaurs. Before dinosaurs walked the earth, forest, or fish, South Korea's foundation was already forming. In the heart of the peninsula lies the Okachun Zone, a stretch of rock over 500 million years old. These ancient rocks are part of the country's very foundation, formed long before life on land even existed. Geologists study them to understand Earth's early history, tectonic movements, and the origins of minerals that later shaped the landscape. Rocks older than dinosaurs lying beneath modern cities and farmland. South Korea isn't just a young nation. Its geology tells a story far older than life as we know it. Finally, let's bring it all together, because Korea's true identity starts with its rugged backbone. Part 1. Korea's rugged backbone, the Taebaek Mountains. Look at a map of South Korea and you'll see why it's often called a land of mountains. The Taebaek mountain range, stretching along the eastern coast nearly 70% of the country, leaving only about 30% of the land flat enough for farming or cities. These mountains aren't just a barrier. They shape climate, rivers, and settlements. Major cities like Seoul and Busan occupy the rare flat plains, while much of the interior remains steep and forested. But also a reminder of how much of the country is dominated by rocky ridges and valleys. Can you imagine living in a land where most of it is untouchable terrain? From sinking cities to living volcanoes, South Korea's geography is anything but ordinary. It's a country where nature rewrites the map every season, and history hides beneath every mountain and island. If you love discovering these wild facts, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, cause there's a lot more where that came from. See you in the next adventure.